This is your movement correction video where we are going to analyze the forehand of an expert and beginner. From the analysis, we are going to help correct you by focusing on critical factors in your technique. We are also going to give you different drills to emphasize each critical factor so you can refine your movements and successfully complete the forehand.
Hi, my name is Jonas. I've been playing tennis for 8 years and coaching for 3 years. Today, I'll be guiding you through the proper techniques of a tennis forehand.
So this is the execution of the beginner's forehand. A key component of the forehand is the rotation of the torso and following through the swing. However, the beginner does not rotate their torso and does not follow through. We see that she is using predominantly her wrist to hit the incoming ball. Also, her feet are parallel with each other rather than the leading foot pointing towards the court, which can predispose her to an injury as she rotates her body. Finally, the beginner is flat-footed. They should be on their toes to anticipate where the incoming ball will be. Compared to our beginner, our expert is in a good starting position where he is staying on his toes to anticipate the ball, and his leading foot is pointing towards the court. For the beginner, the feet were parallel with each other, which can predispose her to an injury at the knee as she rotates her body. At impact, our expert rotates his torso and hits the ball with his entire arm being rigid, versus the beginner using dominantly their wrist. The expert uses the whole arm as an extension of the racket. As he rotates his torso, his back foot pivots and the toes point down. The ending position of the forehand should be with the torso rotated and following through with the swing of the racket at shoulder level. Critical factors are movements that all tennis players must do in order to hit a proper forehand. The critical factors are shoulder internal rotation, elbow extension, wrist extension, maximum rear leg and elbow extension velocity, trunk rotation, maximum wrist extension angle, and maximum horizontal velocity of the racket head, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. When performing the forehand in tennis, a key component is keeping the entire arm rigid and using it as an extension of the racket. Therefore, keep your elbow and wrist extended at impact with the ball. To follow through and power your swing, rotate your torso and pivot on the back foot. The ending position of the forehand should be with the torso rotated and following through with the swing with the racket at shoulder level. Every tennis player has the same general technique, but each has their own way of hitting a forehand successfully. The flexible factors for a forehand include the speed of the swing, racket, ball trajectory, and grip styles. There are 3 different grip styles: Eastern, Semi-Western, and Western. The varying grips affect the behavior of the ball after impact, however, it does not affect the execution of the forehand. As part of the movement correction video, different drills will be incorporated to focus on each critical factor. The drills will include an explanation, the setup, the purpose, and finally the instructions we will provide for the beginner to help refine their prior errors. In the first drill, the instructor will be tossing the ball to the performer while she does a forehand. This drill will emphasize keeping the entire arm rigid by keeping the elbow and wrist extended rather than predominantly using the wrist to hit the ball. Our instruction for the performer would be to keep a tight grip of the racket throughout the entire movement. In the second drill, the performer will toss the ball in front of them, have it bounce, then execute the forehand. The purpose of this drill is to practice rotating their torso and proper placement of the feet. At contact with the ball, the leading foot should be pointing towards the court to minimize risk of injury. The instruction will be to end with your shirt logo facing the net. The third drill requires the player to move from the center of the baseline to an area where the ball is tossed. The instructor will toss the ball to the right of the player, forcing them to move back and forth. This drill will emphasize the performer to stay on their toes to anticipate and move faster in both directions. The instruction would be to pretend to stand on hot lava. The objective of the down the line and cross-court drill is for the performer to hit a forehand and aim between 2 cones located directly in front of her and on the other side of the court diagonal to the performer. The purpose of this drill is to practice trunk rotation, shoulder internal rotation, and following through the swing. The instruction would be to hit the ball in between 2 cones and end with your shirt logo facing the net. As you can see, our performer implemented all the critical factors of the forehand technique, such as rotating her torso, keeping the elbow and wrist extended, pivoting on her back foot, and remaining on her toes.